All the way. Oh shoot!
Hey, we're live
Hey.
here. It is Love and Relo. I am your host, Ben Cross. We have Thomas Bailey here. Thomas thought I was going to do a gross up real quick.
No, this is 100%. This is the gross up all the way. You can
All right,
call
it's
this
the gross
Love
up.
and Relo, but
We're going to do a mashup. Boom. There we go.
see, gross up on this side, Love and Relo on that side.
It's a little mashup. Well, just the format is different. Anyway, we're doing a live here. Whatever you want to call it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But right now, we want to talk about the coronavirus.
Yeah.
There is a lot of news coming out right now. We are going to try to look very official. I have notes. I have releases.
My notes look less professional, but they are notes nonetheless.
Well, you're out in the field. Those are handwritten notes. I'm back here at HQ.
Yeah, but I have yeah. You're breaking up, and we're gonna go back to him. He's breaking up there.
Yeah, if a hurricane could hit you right now, that'd be lovely, just for effect.
Just in the background, trying to fan on.
Yeah.
But it's crazy, man. I mean, it really is crazy.
Out here, and look, we already got 40-something people already in here because they want to hear about it. We've got breaking news coming from a lot of associations right now.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, what are we doing first? Well, are we going through like?
I think what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about a few things. We're gonna talk about worldwide ERC.
Sure.
We're gonna talk about the announcement that the military made to pause all household goods shipments globally into, I want to say, May 11. We're going to actually read you that announcement as well, talk about the impacts of that. And then we are going to actually try something new where we actually invite you all who are watching onto the stream live.
You can jump. Feel free to jump. Well, no, don't jump in. You have to ask. Knock first, and then you come in.
Well, no, what'll happen is if you go to the link that's there, okay, https://streamyard.com/ZCMR8B8WGH. Then you can actually click that link. It will actually take you into the broadcast studio with us live. And when we are ready to bring callers on or questions in, we'll actually add you to the stream and we can have a conversation. It is first come, first serve.
Sounds like fun. I mean, it sounds like fun. I need maybe for them to help you with that whole /TTPSZHCMBRW. We could just shorten that next time. That'd be great.
You know, these are ideas. Oh, we've got our first guest here.
Oh no! Wait.
Our first guest. So that changes the order of operations here.
Just go.
All right. So then you know what we're gonna do? Actually, we're going to welcome our first guest. You know what?
Let's do it.
This guy right here, I mean, he really well, we're just gonna hop right into it. We got people joining in, okay? So we're gonna welcome actually the interim president of the American Moving and Storage Association, John Becker, to the show here. Yep, we've got John who can actually help us break this news right here regarding the DoD. Here we go. Please bear with me. Bear with me. Yes, that's right. We have John.
Hey, John, what's up, man?
Thomas, Ben, how are you?
You're looking well, John. Looking good,
John.
Very busy.
I'm sure you are. So let's hop right into it, John. We've been getting communication all weekend in between. Watching the news. I've been watching my email feed as you've been sending updates to us diligently. A few different updates here. What is going on with the DoD? Why don't you tell us in your words?
Right now, they've stopped moving all personnel families for all locations, domestic and international. This week there's some moves going on, but they're issuing different guidance based on where you're at. So roughly March and April has 20,000 shipments per month.
Wow.
And that's going to be a drastic increase to the peak season.
Now, 20,000 is interstate and international. Is that right?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay.
And, depending on the year, it, increases, decreases. But we had a call at 2:00 with Transcom, and they're still trying to work out the services stance on what they're doing. Right now, based on the guidance, Monday and Tuesday, if you have a scheduled pickup or a pack, until you get confirmation from the booking office, don't go out there. Some bases are restricting access to the base as well. If you're local, agent in Oklahoma, and reach out to the local base and see what the access is. Some locations are shutting down access for non-mission essential personnel as well. A lot of people on each base are working remotely. Even my wife is working remotely. She works on Fort Belvoir here in Virginia. So, it's going to be a very changing market every day, every 2 or 3 days. We'll see. So
we got
a comment from Megan.
Yeah, we got a comment here from Megan Harless here. For those of you who don't know, Miss Harless kind of is a military spouse and been championing some improvements to the DP3 program. We actually anticipate having her on the program, I think, in a couple of weeks. Megan writes, so many families are confused on the guidance and now struggling what to do between house closings and what they can do and what will happen.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of. Like, what happens after you close on your home there?
Yeah. Or lease, can you extend the lease, extend the closing? That's a struggle. Based on the entitlements, they only get 10 days of temporary lodging expenses, either origin or destination. If this goes through 60 days, you're going to have people living in a hotel for 2 months. And that's, we all travel, for a day or two, but I couldn't imagine living in a hotel for 60 days.
I got to think
in the past, but that was a different scenario.
Yeah, I got to think that that somehow home closings would be paused. But you start to look at all the impacts that this is having and the way that kind of it backs up all these orders of operation and kind of like dominoes that start to stack up and create these funnels and stuff. John, have you heard of any? Has the military community communicated anything about what they're going to do for service members in this position? Or Megan, if you're watching,
they probably. They're going to have to analyze what that cost is, and that could be drastic increase. So until these services do that entitlement expansion, we don't know.
And really quick though, that you mentioned a little earlier, the 20,000 moves a month. Is that, and you said that would be a huge hit to or kind of a big drop on the peak season. So once this is all over with, May 11th, it'll be everything that missed the last couple of months is going to be dumped on the floor, pretty much, right?
Yeah. So peak season is going to be very different this year.
Very peakish.
So now, do you forecast all of those? Moves kind of being pushed into peak season? So they're still going to happen, those initiations, but now they're going to be layered on top of an already, obviously always difficult peak season.
We don't know, but assumption is that it's going to happen. You can't go from 0 moves to 1,000 overnight. So that's going to be a drastic increase to May and June. Honestly, we didn't. If this, everything that is associated with this virus is hit or miss, right? 8 weeks is, ideal, but it could expand to 12 weeks.
I was going to say, what do you think the probability is that the military says, okay, May 11th is as of right now, but due to the ability to flatten the curve, which also, by the way, extends the curve, do you see this going into June, July, or through the end of peak season altogether? I mean,
it could be. We don't know right now. Mm-hmm. So based on the guidance, it's just different. So I'm reading Megan's comments.
Let's see here. Let's put another one up here. Services are looking at extended their TLA entitlements, and installations are working with emergency housing on post as well, but many families will be stuck in place until May 11th in limbo. Services will need to extend report dates through August and September to level out the demand on capacity. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of times the members are the ones that are wanting to get in there before Labor Day, before school starts. So, I mean, there's going to be an impact to schooling and everything. Megan, John, if you know, what are TLE and TLA for those watching?
Domestic is TLE. International is TLA, temporary lodging allowance.
Okay.
International is quite a bit different. Mm-hmm. At one time, I was moving to Australia, and I was in a serviced apartment for 90 days, and I was paid for because my shipment wasn't there. But TLA can be extended by 30 days or as needed, 10 or 15 days initially. So TLE is defined as 10 days, origin or destination.
We've got a question here from Kimberly Isaac. Do you know whether this will apply to military contractors as well?
That's a good question, because the DoD doesn't control those. So the contractors are a different avenue. They're not paid for by the DoD directly. So a subcontractor, if they have a contract with DoD and they're moving people, that's on the contractor.
Well, we've seen a lot of private companies with travel restrictions as well, and I'd be interested to hear from any maybe corporate mobility folks out there watching this, especially if you work in the DoD space or have employees and contractors in the DoD space, to hear what you've done as far as how your travel restrictions impacted household goods relocations as well. I have another question here from Georgia, Georgia Engel. John.
Hey, Georgia.
John, what thoughts do you have as to whether this may delay the Global Household Goods Contract Award?
That was brought up on the call at 2 o'clock. Wasn't really answered, but the feedback I've gotten was that wouldn't delay the contract award.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how far this gets pushed back. Because if it gets pushed back, past May into June, even as this exacerbates peak season already, it'll be interesting to see what kinds of capacities and service failures arise from consolidating this to the peak, and if that's used as further justification for the need of a sole source compared to the current DP3 program. Let's see here. We got a lot of questions, a lot of people coming in here. Andrew Lee, shout out. Janet Turner wants to know what kind of pants Thomas has on. Janet, how can you think about pants at a time like this?
I mean, it's a hot topic though, man. And then
it's short.
They are pants today.
They're pantish.
They're pantish today. Okay,
we've got someone else calling in here. Want to go here to the cam lines. Let's see how many people we can stuff on this screen right here. There we go.
This is getting crazy.
Quirk joins us here from Western New York. Let's see. I'm not seeing a cam here, Tim.
You got to turn on your cam, Tim.
Tim, I need your cam. You're cam negative right
Cam's
now.
on. Cam's
It's
on. I'm just
it's
dying over
2020.
here.
It's 2020.
We've got
Figure it out.
audio. We have no visual.
My
Sorry, Tim,
cam is
there's some-
suffering corona.
Oh
Tim,
no.
I'm going to put you back in the studio. I'm going to need you to work on that internet connection. We'll come right back to you, Tim, okay? And just have it just like this.
Just hang up on him.
I do have another gentleman here. I'm also going to bring in here Jay Burnham. Jay joins us from the great state of Michigan as well. Jay is also in the moving industry and helps a lot of local movers and other movers as a kind of a consultant here. Jay, can you read me there, Jay?
What's up, Jay?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, Jay. Did you have a question or comment on how coronavirus is impacting businesses in your area?
No, I'm just sitting here watching the show.
Just watching the show.
Hey, well, hey, man,
how coronavirus has impacted businesses in your area. Jay, so you are with a moving company, or you work with moving companies? Is that right?
I used to own a moving company. Now I run Seven Figure Moving Academy. It's a YouTube channel. It has almost 6,000 subscribers on it. Plus, I have a large membership group of newer movers. It caters to mostly the new guys, trying to get them, up to speed. Licensed and insured and that kind of thing.
What are you hearing from movers out there, Jay, that you work with as far as how they're combating this? Are they making any kinds of special exceptions or accommodations?
Yeah, well, I did a show very like this on my Facebook group yesterday, and we did that. And what we're really going over is knowing your numbers, knowing exactly what it's going to take to get through this. Making sure that your organization is in, and then creating an SOP that you can share with your customers so that they know what you're doing to combat this and how you're going to protect them as well as your company and your employees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've seen a lot of people actually asking about what new SOPs have been put in place. Thank you, Jay. I'm just going to pull you back here. We've been seeing a lot of clients asking what types of new protocols are being put in place. John, have you heard any guidance or requirements from any, like whether it be the government or anything like this, maybe prior to the stoppage, about how movers should be conducting themselves, or have you heard any best practices out there?
Well, just following the CDC guidance on our website, we have a post about the Rachel Peretz did about consumers. We're getting questions from consumers, movers as well, and it's just being careful and talking to have you been exposed? 3 weeks ago, I was getting information that different moving companies were saying, hey, when they show up, wear a mask. And in some cases, they were being asked for shot records as well. So
like immunizations?
Yeah. So if you're not in the military or grew up in the military, you don't have a shot record available. I do, even though, I did 20 years, even though it's been 10 years since I retired, I have my shot record. I get shots on yearly basis. There's a record, just like you take your dog to the vet.
I was trying not to go there in my head.
No, it's just the same thing. So in some cases, movers don't have that. If you're not used to that environment where you get shots every 6 months or a year, you don't have that. So in some cases, people are concerned if they have a crew member or, even the crew, if the customer is coughing all the time or sneezing,
right,
they're concerned. It's just very weird times. So I would be professional. Make sure you communicate that. If you're concerned, wear gloves, be clean, everything. So
speaking of professional here, I want to bring on another guest here. Tim Quirk here, coming from Western New York. Tim, can you read me there?
I got you, sir. How are you?
That was beautiful. That was beautiful, Tim. Thank you so much for that.
Did you like that? And
yeah,
Ben, fantastic with the segue. A true professional, now and always.
Thank you.
What's up, Tim?
So I just can't, for those who are listening, can't stress enough how fluid this situation is. We tried as an organization, tried to get on top of it and send out emails to all of our members with active shipments that have been booked but haven't picked, sent them to all agents, and then we have UK gypsos, TMOs in the UK and Hawaii saying no, everything scheduled for today needs to go. So we're here we are, and we are booking shipments and packing and loading in Hawaii and the UK today.
And Tim, just for the people that are watching, can you tell me what organization you're with, just so they have some context?
Thank you very much. Atlas World Group International.
Okay. And you manage international household goods shipments for the DoD? And
manage all DoD and GSA shipments, yes.
Okay. What do you think this is going to do now that you hear there's a global stoppage? I mean, how does that change the way you go forward?
I mean, for me, it's going to be, I really think it's going to be when the spigot is turned on again, we need to be the first person to the agent, or else there's going to be no capacity. A capacity shortage that currently exists is going to be multiplied 5, maybe 10-fold when we're taking all the shipments from half of March, all of April, and half of May, and trying to then get them serviced come mid-May or end May.
And when you it's interesting because as we watch the developments with the coronavirus, and every day it seems like something. This past week, I was at a North American conference in Chicago, and every day we woke up and it was like, oh wow, the NBA just canceled all their games. That's crazy. Oh wow. March Madness is no longer. Whoa, that's wild, and every day it seemed like something new, and it just escalated so fast. And I kind of, Tim, we worked shoulder to shoulder before in the peak season trying to get shipments assigned to agents, and it just seems like every day it's going to be an agent's going to black out, an agent's going to black out, an agent's going to black out until there's no capacity left. And for our corporate customers, our corporate clients out there who are watching this right now, this is important because not only, so I think there's a misconception that, this would have to do with the military and government traffic. But this is a lot of times the same capacity that our corporate relocation shippers also rely on. And I think while a lot of them haven't paused their relocation programs at this point, they're going to be up against these same capacity crunches in the summertime.
Well, and there's even an issue now for the agents. I mean, I was on a call with Transcom the other day, and I think, John, you were on that call too. And an agent spoke up, and I'm not going to mention his name because I don't have permission to do so, but he basically said his insurance carrier let him know that if he knowingly sends packers into a house where someone may have been in contact or may have been in a level 3 area, his insurance may not cover them if the workers' comp or even if he's self-funded healthcare. So it's just so big, so much bigger than just moving boxes, right?
Yeah.
I had a client reach out to me today asking what we do for what types of sanitization or sanitization something. We're coming up with new words all the time, right?
Something. How do we do something?
Cleaning.
Yeah, are we offering a service to clean and disinfect these shipments when we deliver them?
Yeah.
And I spent the better part of my morning today making phone calls both internally and externally to partners to see if we could execute on this. And I mean, is this something that you've heard, Tim, or you've heard, John, where people are trying to tackle this problem?
I haven't heard that, but there's concerns out there. Different ways to be prepared for the move. Be clean. you don't know what you're going into, what the different house. I've seen that from a military side. Go into a house that has bugs or issues, and it's just different.
Yeah.
I was the only one that saw that hand sanitizer pop up there.
No,
Was
the creep of the nozzle creep.
Like one of the things that I've seen that really quickly was one of our carriers that we're a non-asset based provider, and one of our carriers has sent out a big letter saying like, hey, if you could switch it around, obviously we'll make sure that our drivers are following certain protocols, but if you could, as Relotrans, step in and find out if they ask a few questions for us as well to make sure that if someone's been traveling in, say a hotspot or coming from overseas, or has been in touch with someone that may be, have coronavirus symptoms or things like that, can you let us know? And then we'll have someone else release the vehicle to the driver, like have a family member step in that hasn't really been in contact. So they're trying it on the supplier side as well to try to figure out some different ways of doing this successfully and staying healthy as well.
Well, we looked at this. So I did some research this morning, right? Because she said to me, do you do this and how much does it cost? And I was like, well, I mean, at least we're having the right conversation. Okay, what does it cost, right? And so we went through several different ideas here. And I'm going to share with you what I found out through the course of this research, right? One, I'm like, okay, can we have our drivers sanitize the pads with, say, Lysol, and all the equipment, the dollies, et cetera. And then upon moving in, can they sanitize the furniture, wipe it down, spray the upholstery, et cetera? The problem we have in that situation is we can't find Lysol. We can't find rubbing alcohol to even make our own solutions. We're also, as I reached out to other providers to say, can we outsource this to a third party? Right? I reached out to a third party partner, and the technicians that they went to said, we have the same problem you have. We can't find the material, but also we're not certified to disinfect. So whatever we do to disinfect is not necessarily certified or, is necessarily going to work, And what's more, once you start using like alcohol, like let's say Lysol, once you start using the Lysol on wood, you can actually discolor wood and create other issues with furniture, right? And we're always very liability conscious, right? So these are some of the things that we're trying to work through here, how we can actually ensure the safety of our customers. And I'll be honest, it's extremely difficult.
I mean, you only can do so much,
Well, we can only do so much. And I think that's why we see some of our clients that are just taking a kind of a quarantine approach to their social distancing approach, right? And I think that's really scary for us because A, we're in business to move people. B, we're worried about what's going to happen in 2 months when they, release the spigot, to use Tim's terminology. It could be very, very difficult to handle. John, does this place any added stress on let's say the PIPSOs and the boots on the ground on the service member side, the personal property shipping officers, any of those people?
Yeah, because today, and Tim can vouch for this. You have a hard time getting somebody to answer an email or the phone. A gypso, PIPSO, PIPO. They're having to reach out and talk to the members as well. And some offices are working from home, so they don't have telephone access, only email. We don't know those sites. Having different conversations with over the weekend with different people at different gypsos working on Saturday and Sunday, trying to figure out contacts for members, reach out and talk to them. But in some cases, they're not making contact because this, announcement came out Friday night. I'm assuming that service members didn't realize until they were called by the gypso that happened, unless they did a telephone recall, military-wise,
robocall or something like that.
Yeah. So military-wise, every unit you're with, they have a telephone tree, and you're talking to everybody. Today, it's more email and robocall.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got a different message from, I don't know whether this is valid or not. Air Force-wise, Gypso South Central in San Antonio, all currently booked moves in the stop movement window are to proceed with loading and movement to destination. But
Wait.
Navy,
What does that like? Let's say, what does that mean? And this isn't confirmed yet, so
no,
news.
I
Let's
cannot confirm.
talk about it anyway, because
sounds like fun.
So
different services are having a different look on this, right? So Army, Navy sponsor moves still have to go through the individual shipment review for authorization. Air Force wise, they're saying if it's booked, pack it up, pick it, and ship it to destination.
So that would be in direct contradiction of the memo that we received from U.S. Transcom, which, by the way, U.S. Transcom, I believe, is a Air Force directorate, if I'm...
Well, they're controlled by the Air Force, but they're a combined component command, right? So they're led by the Army General. So it's a purple organization. Every service is stationed there.
Okay. So possible. I mean, again, this isn't necessarily confirmed, this memo, but is it possible that a service might direct movement differently than Transcom as a whole?
Very true.
But now Transcom as a whole is responsible for executing on these moves and making them happen, or is the services responsible for that?
Well, Transcom is the program manager, but the services control their shipments. And they have the authority to move a different way. That could change in 2 or 3 hours. So that changed, that statement is very frustrating because we're on a call, 2 hours ago that stopped moving everything.
Right. And then so the spouses are like, yeah, you guys don't know, we don't know, nobody knows, right? So I mean, I guess we kind of proceed. What's interesting too, from operational standpoint, Tim, we got a memo, 2 or 3 memos over the weekend saying this isn't happening. This definitely isn't happening. This isn't even happening, way more than it wasn't happening on Friday. It's not happening at all. Like 3 different memos confirming how much this wasn't happening. No moves, right? And then now we're saying, okay, well, maybe. Air Force, right? So from an operational standpoint, how do you operationalize that?
I was going to say, operational standpoint, yesterday I'm getting texts saying, okay, we need to figure out how to keep our folks busy. We don't want this to create any staff reductions, all this kind of stuff. Let's get a plan going. Let's keep everybody busy. And so we do that, and we move forward with that. And we've got people maybe reassigned, to areas that need some help and that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden now Air Force comes out, if they come out and say, our shipments are all just going to go, and they're going to get, we're going to put them in, I assume, destination SIT, John. I don't know.
Yeah.
So then that, now I have to, go back and tell a colleague, oh, I know I promised this resource to you, but actually I really need them now. So yeah, it's, I hear Megan's comment. I think the TSPs and the families are sometimes in the same boat.
But as a mover, though, for this, I guess for both of you, Ben and Tim, for a mover, you'd rather something like this come out where you have a couple branches that are saying like, "Hey, we're going to do our own thing here, and we're going to at least keep something going and kind of shorten that gap of just nothing happening."
Yeah.
I mean, yes and no, though. I mean, if you have moving companies that have made a decision, okay, we can't go into people's houses for a certain amount of time, and they did that basically because their biggest customer has told them, okay, we're not going to move anything for a certain amount of time. And now within a few hours, if this is the case, now do we go to our people that we've just told, out of, an abundance of caution, we're going to not let you go into people's houses. So, let's figure out what we can do the next month and a half. And then we come back and a couple hours later and say, well, with abundance of caution, we think it's okay for you to go into those people's houses now. It's,
yeah. So as a moving, Tom, so great question, right? As a moving company, I like that, right? Because here we are, it's March, it's still not peak. We still are kind of struggling to keep the schedule full. And frankly, with things the way they are, it's hard to keep the schedule full. So, I mean, my Grand Rapids location, had 7 jobs, 6 of them were military, and they canceled this week, right? So that's scary, So yeah, you want to do that because you want to have some revenue and basically keep your guys busy going into peak, so you keep them there, right? As a citizen, I worry about when we're kind of practicing social distancing in order to flatten the curve. I worry that we're putting people in people's homes, right? And where contact is unavoidable. If I'm a mover on these jobs and I'm living paycheck to paycheck, day to day with my bills, I hate to say it, but some of these guys have bigger problems than catching COVID-19. Some of these guys have to pay their rent, and some of these guys have to pay their car note, put food on the table, and pay that toilet paper premium that's going around, So, I mean, it's kind of, there's a lot of different constituencies at work here and a lot of different motivations, It's a very conflicting time right now. Brian, actually, we got some questions here on the Facebook here. Let's see here. Chad Queenie, any news on where the U.S. Coast Guard, which falls under Homeland Security, stands on this?
I don't have that answer, but I'm going to find out for Chad and I'll get that back to him.
Okay. Chad, stop asking hard questions, man.
It's one of those good questions. I've been asked the same thing for GSA today as well, and we don't know.
I was asked the same thing about GSA also. That'd be good if anybody has heard anything. Oded Carmi on LinkedIn says we had 2 military packs start today, given a green light from HAFC.
Yep.
HAFC is that Colorado Springs or
San
Antonio?
Yep.
Okay, right.
So it is all over the place a little bit there, huh?
And the guidance we got, John, correct me if I'm wrong, the guidance that we got from your office, among other places, from Transcom directly, was everything stops globally, domestically, with the exception of retirees, separatees.
Yeah.
And
mission essential.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that same conversation probably 2 hours ago from U.S. Transcom saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm. So then you got other people doing random stuff.
Yeah.
And then we got another question here from Ms. Harless. She's trying to think of solutions in lieu of getting move dates. John, is there anything families can do during the shutdown to help make the other end any easier when moves start up again? Pre-packing, packing in boxes that they aren't using to help speed up pack and load, anything else? Any techniques or tricks? Tim, John?
You guys are the movers.
He's like,
he says, John, anything.
Right. Yeah, keyword is John.
When Megan moved last summer, I was at her house, and she did pre-packaging for certain items. That's always good. You have stuff in your garage or basement, pack it up. You're storing it that way anyway. But, anything that, organize the move, get rid of different items that you're not going to ship as well. I talk to Megan all the time, so she's throwing me out there.
So my takeaway here is that you're going to go to her house and help her stage.
No,
that's exactly what I heard.
I can't drive to Arkansas.
Tim, what do you think about that? Anything military members can do to be proactive here?
I mean, any type of pre-packing you do, and I'm thinking this more of my days as an agent, not with a van line. The boxes need to be left open. There's no more PBO. There's no more pack by owner. So the TSP and kind of, and then secondarily the agent is going to be responsible for any damage that may happen in those. So I mean, it certainly needs to be those items certainly need to be able to be looked at. So I would say not taping up any boxes, so that the movers can verify that they don't need to add any more padding or paper.
Yeah.
Right?
They're going to pop those boxes and inspect them anyway. I mean, because there are no PBOs, right?
Right, because they're going to be there anyway, and I mean, it feels like you'd want to have it done the right way, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard. I mean, really, the best thing you can do is to try to not move during peak season. If there's a possibility of doing that, or whatever, and give as much advance notice. I mean, from a military member who's moving standpoint, I mean, if you're not concerned about the virus, which is a big if, then moving now is probably the best thing you can do, because it's going to get crazy this summer. But I don't know who's not concerned, So
I think people that weren't concerned was maybe like last week, but then now people are, whoever wasn't concerned, now they are. Once you cancel March Madness, it's like, okay, well, I have to be concerned about this,
Yeah, I mean, the two bedrocks of my personal day.
I don't know what to do after work now.
Yeah, AMSA and March Madness. Okay,
yeah, I thought we were gonna like slide past this. I thought that was the first thing we were gonna talk about when we had John on the phone. So, John, I should be. Wait, I'm at home in Michigan. It's 30-something degrees outside. I should be in Orlando.
Yep.
And I'm assuming that you are one of the people that pressed the button on canceling this thing. So thank you so much.
Honestly, I hated to do that. The board, the executive committee voted to cancel. After Monday, when I sent that email out that we're still proceeding, the next 18 hours changed drastically. So it was a very tough call, but seeing that, the different things that have popped up, MLB, NHL, NASCAR, all the concerts, everything.
Yeah.
I just got a notice that Trump said is advising people to not gather in groups of more than 10. New set of guidelines to fight the virus.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Well, that's good, because I can only have 6 people on this thing. So
right.
Yeah,
but no, honestly, John, I think you guys did the right thing. I hated to not be in Orlando right now, but you guys aren't you're not the only conference that waited until they just had to. I mean, because everybody wants their conference to go on and bring their people together, great networking opportunities and all that. But Ben and I were both going to be in 2 or 3 different places in the next week or so, and just canceled because they have to. So
yeah, well, I wasn't going to be home in April, March for probably only 10 days at home because of all the trips and different events and everything. So
the bright side is we'll spend some time with our families, right?
Very true.
Yeah, I was kind of happy to hear it, to be honest with you. I wasn't trying to give a speech,
No.
Yeah.
But Thomas, you bring up a good point, and John, I'm gonna let you go now because we're gonna talk a little bit about the next topic on the docket here.
Well, let me make a comment for the conference. We're still trying to figure out refunds, credits for the next conference, sponsor exhibits, everything. That should be coming out within the next day or two.
Okay.
So,
Thank you for that.
any changes that we get, I just sent a question to Transcom about the Air Force statement. Is that legit? Any comments that we get, we'll get out.
Okay.
Read your email.
Yeah, I think one of the questions that we didn't hit, I thought was pretty interesting, was the whole I forgot who said it. Brian Crockett said if the government pushes moves out far enough, will TSPs have to move the shipments at non-peak rates?
We made that point today, and they understand that. So if it's moving, based on the rules, if you get a shipment that was booked on 12 May, and the customer, changed that to 17 May. 15 May is the start date for peak for the government. If you did that, you would have to move that at the non-peak rate. If you do that for shipments moving in March and April, how can you get drivers to move that shipment? Because they're competing with different peak season rates, which are better, honestly.
I would think they would cancel them and reissue the order or something.
We're talking about that. They're trying to figure out how to do that because you got a ton of shipments booked already for March and April. So that's going to be a additional workload that they're trying to figure out. So I'm going to drop off, but I want to say, Megan, you weren't responsible. You don't have to apologize at all. So I'll call you shortly.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, John.
Thanks, John.
No problem. See you guys.
Take care. Bye.
Man, a lot of stuff going on.
And what's funny is I thought I had a handle on it, and like there's all these aspects I hadn't even considered. I mean, the fact that shipments right now, that people are sitting in people's inbox right now that were supposed to come out for March 16th are now going to be moving in May, if best case scenario, and they're going to be moving at off-peak rates. I mean, that's a difference of a lot of money. Let's just say that. I mean, 30%.
But then if you're dumping all this all in one, right in May, and obviously capacity issues, so you're gonna have to do some scheduling and keep pushing. You'll be moving shipments that you probably would have finished in June or July. You're gonna be moving in August, September now, right? I mean, wouldn't it just kind of stretch out? I mean, aren't we?
No, really. Because they're gonna issue those shipments in June for September, and they're going to pay it in the month that it moves, not the month that it was.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty standard. I only know of one client that does it differently. We got a bunch of people watching here. Hey, if anybody wants to talk about ERC or you're on the corporate relocation side of the ball, please hop in there using that link at the bottom. Love to have you on. It's kind of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very interesting. Once you got 4 on there, I liked the way it looked. I want 2 more people. Please just call in. If you have nothing to say, you can call as well.
Yeah, what you gonna do? You're sitting at home quarantine.
What are you gonna do? This is the most interaction I've had all day.
Can't catch nothing. I mean, come on. All right, here we go. I want to read a press release that came out today. So this was sent to me by Worldwide ERC. We're supposed to have Ed Hannibal on the show on Wednesday, chairman of ERC, to talk about this. Instead, I have this press release. Let's read this real quick here. Worldwide ERC, the premier trade association for talent management, global mobility knowledge, today announced plans to convene a virtual summit and postpone Advance 2020, its newest collaborative think tank style in-person event, until later this year. Originally planned for May 13th through 15th in Houston, Texas. Advanced 2020, this program is being rescheduled in light of the risk presented by the coronavirus outbreak. New dates will be published as soon as possible, while Worldwide ERC continues to monitor developments and the recommendations of leading health organizations. After carefully considering reports from the World Health Organization and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the leadership team and board of directors felt strongly it was necessary to postpone Advanced 2020, said Edward Hannibal, chairman of the board at ERC. The health and safety of our delegates, speakers, sponsors, staff, and event and venue partners are our top priority. We look forward to rescheduling this event to allow for uninhibited in-person personal collaboration. What's interesting is they are going to a virtual.
Yeah, that's the part that I was. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like.
Yeah, so they provide a little bit of detail on what that might look like. A couple of things I thought were interesting. It's going to be a one-day virtual summit.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be 6 educational sessions open to all talent mobility professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Who a talent mobility professional is, I'm not sure.
It would probably have to be someone that's an ERC member, correct? I mean, it says all, but, we're assuming that.
Are you a talent mobility professional?
I think so.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I think so.
I mean, I sell his own. You know what I'm saying? No, but I like the idea. I mean,
is it corporate or service providers? Is it because when it went to Advanced 2020, it
was different. Yeah. I don't know though. What are you? I mean, are you in that? I mean, I know you think. I know what you think you are. I'm just saying. And I mean, what are we?
Got a lot of letters behind my name: XYZ, XRP.
So we'll start making stuff up here.
So we're going to assume until somebody tells me otherwise.
Anybody professionals.
Yeah. Talent it's going to be between 9 a.m. to 1500, which is 3 o'clock. Unnecessarily complicated there. 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Get off the DoD conversation, so it makes sense.
Daylight time. Is that different than Eastern Standard Time? I don't know.
Yeah, it's different.
Okay. Session recordings, recaps, and Q&A opportunities will allow participants around the globe to engage in the content of their choice at times that are most convenient for them. Virtual summit educational content will focus on the state of the industry, including the global economic outlook, which is on a daily basis becoming.
I know, like, what are you going to be talking about by May? By May, it might just be like, hey guys, you want to talk about?
Remember the economy?
I planted a garden yesterday and it's growing pretty well already.
Catching a lot of rainwater over here.
Right. I mean, I love the concept. I mean, because it's just, I don't know why we don't do this more often, and I mean, are we talking about like webinars, like six webinars basically, and like have maybe like a panel discussion with like how we just had almost? I mean, is that what they're doing?
It sounds like we're going to a six session webinar. Yeah,
you can just log in and willy nilly,
and you can ask questions like people are doing right now.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah,
but then you can also not ask questions and just watch it later in your jammies.
And then probably get CRP credits.
That'll be interesting.
I mean, as long as you're logged in for long enough, I'm sure that they're going to come with.
I don't see where the cost is here on this, so I don't know if there's a cost. I imagine they would not give credits if there wasn't a cost.
Yeah, you got to pay for them creds.
That's right. Credits on growing trees.
That's the same thing with street cred, bro.
Other sessions include the importance of mobility throughout the entire talent management lifecycle and building the workforce of the future, from assessment and selection or recruitment to onboarding and or upskilling and leadership development. The next topic includes the intersection of technology and talent mobility, how enhanced data and new tools are reshaping the experience. And lastly, talent shortages and non-traditional approaches to solving them. For more information or session content, speakers registration is available in the coming weeks at worldwideerc.org. For questions surrounding Advanced 2020 and the virtual summit, contact KCYGAL at worldwideerc.org.
I mean, it sounds like a good idea. I mean, you got to bring people together. But the news of them canceling or postponing is, I mean, they could have just wrote that for every conference. I mean, nothing's going to happen between now and May, or June probably, right? I mean, everything's done. I mean, you can hold off all you want. Yeah. You're going to cancel.
Yep, and I see here. Speaking of which, Jennifer Breen here, friend of the program, friend personally, housing providers of Mars.
Yeah.
We were sad to postpone Midwest Relocation Conference 2, but it was the right decision. Agreed. I feel your pain, and it was not an easy decision. It is hard to social distance from such amazing industry colleagues. We are also issuing registration refunds right now. Yeah, she brings up a great point. I was in Chicago last week at a conference. We go in there talking about, bumping elbows and keeping distance.
Kid and play feet.
But I'll be honest with you, like I found myself shaking hands.
I went to go shake somebody's hand today. Like I hadn't, I'm a recluse apparently. I don't really get out the house much, but
I thought you didn't leave the house. Whose hand you shaking? You shaking Thomas's hand?
I went to go shake the hand, and then he's like, "Yep, not shaking your hand." And I'm like, "Oh, my bad. It's almost offensive if you reach to shake someone's hand at this point. It's like, I don't care about me, and I don't care about you. I'm shaking that hand."
Yeah. It's shaking hands is the most irresponsible decision you can make.
Literally, if somebody reaches out to shake your hand at this point, they don't love you, and you should just make them exit your life immediately.
They have no respect for themselves. So I'm shaking hands last week. I'm hugging people, We're like, oh, good to see you. You have a couple glasses of wine. You're like, super great to see everybody.
And you're a hugger.
I'm a hugger, I got a lot of surface area. There's a lot that could happen right now, and so I kind of self-quarantined myself on Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Did you?
I'm feeling all right now.
So what's the university doing though? Like, cause I mean, I see you're in the office. I'm kind of bummed that you're in the office. I was expecting to see like Ben Cross at home, working from home, being all proactive and productive.
Listen, man, you just want everybody else not to be wearing pants too, man. Like that's not, don't put your pantlessness on.
Listen, not wearing pants is the most liberating thing that you could do, All
right. So anyway, getting back to what you're asking me, right?
What is university doing?
Right?
What are y'all doing?
University is, we're trying to practice social distancing while coming to work. We operate a moving company. I put a statement out last week. We were one of the first companies that I know of to put a statement out to our clients and say, here's what we're doing, But I also told them in the same breath, I said, listen, we run a moving company.
You got to move.
If there is no non-intimate way to move somebody's household goods.
Yeah.
And we have an obligation to serve the community that must absolutely move. And we are relying on our customers to self-identify as moving is essential in their life, and they have to do it. Otherwise they can postpone. We're not charging any penalties for that.
Yeah.
We're also looking for customers and employees to self-identify. Up until I think yesterday, they didn't have any drive-through testing, and frankly, I called up my physician and asked him about this, and in order to even get a coronavirus test, you have to be exhibiting a fever, a cough. There's like 4 different symptoms that you have to present in order to even qualify to get a test, because they're hoarding these tests, because I think they've given out like 35,000 of them. But I heard a stat at one point, they only had like 100,000. So they weren't trying to just test everybody, which would be nice and convenient, but they don't have the wherewithal to do that, just unfortunately.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we're relying on people to make good decisions.
Yeah.
And it's not where I want to be. I'd like to be able to test everybody in our office on a daily basis, frankly.
It has to. That's the thing about the testing. You test me today, and I could go touch a table tomorrow and rub my nose, and I could have it tomorrow. That's why it's so scary. For here, we obviously move cars, and so it's not as obviously what we do as a non-asset based company. It's not as intimate as what you guys do. So I see why you have to.
Well, and that's the flip side of it too, right? Honestly, a lot of my clients who are let's say RMCs, right, or
they're like
managers.
Shut that.
They're like, what are you doing? What are you doing in order to mitigate risk? And it's like, we can't not come to work. We can't work from home, because we're movers. We have to be present with people. We're an asset-based company, Yeah.
Ahead. So is it like, so some of you, like the office staff, like, all their caseloads and files are all there, right? And I mean, just the way things work, you kind of have to be, you know, near the warehouse, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, due to the nature of the business and the fact that we've been around for 50 years, 51 years now,
yeah.
A lot of our systems are legacy systems, and a lot of paper still involved. There's paper inventories, there's paper files.
Yeah, I mean, just
we work with a van line that has, you know, systems that, you know, are not necessarily cloud-based or friendly like that, you know. So we would be really challenged. You know, we're working on plans right now that would allow us to go remote on a kind of a skeleton crew basis in order to make that happen. But it's just not that easy for us to flex into.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for us it was, like I said, it was a little easier on our side, and we're maybe 90% of our staff is working from home today, and that's just, you know. And, you know, Frank, he was just like, oh, this is just crazy. But he had to do it, and there's no point in having people collect and gather for no reason. But, you know, if there's some people in our office that, you know, need to be there, like the billing team really kind of needs to be there to be with the paper, so to speak. But we're very much so skeleton crew right now. You know, Purple Don is in the office right now. He's going down with his ship, you know. So I mean, but and like I said earlier, though, one of the cool things are some of the we rely on our network so heavily, and I was loving the fact that a lot of our carriers are stepping in and saying, hey, well, here's what we're doing. You know, we got to send the mover. I mean, we got to send the driver to the customer's house, so we'll make sure our driver's good or clean as possible, and gloves and this and that, and wearing a mask if you need, you know, whatever. But then also we're going to try to talk to the customers and see, kind of feel them out too. Like, is there anyone that's been out of the country, or is anyone have some flu-like symptoms? Could we try to help each other out though? I mean, because a lot of times, you know, when the RMC says, hey, what are you guys doing? What are you doing? You know, Ben Cross, what is the university doing? But also, what can we, as the RMC, the car carrier, and the mover do to help understand what situation the customer is actually in? I mean, because yes, they want their stuff moved, but could they infect a driver? You know,
So you're saying asking questions of customers and screening them?
I mean, not screening, somewhat, just kind of say like, hey, so because most people at this point, yeah, they want their things moved, but they're also, you know, aware of the fact that you could possibly, you know, transmit this thing. It sounds crazy. Transmit this thing to someone else or someone on your crew for no reason, when they could just say, I'll step, you know, we'll sanitize or whatever, and I'll go, you know, wherever, and let you guys do your thing. You know, there's no sense of gathering when you don't have to, you know, especially if someone can be honest and say like, yeah, I'm not really feeling great.
Well, and who knows, there may not be a choice soon. Eric Scorzelli from Victory Packaging writes on Facebook, I'm socially distancing right now. Great way to stay in touch with what's going on. You are on the cusp of breaking news.
Man, yeah, we're on top of it. Social distancing for me is like, when I just read that, I just read normaling. So I'm normaling right now. That's what I read, because that's like, social distancing is my thing.
Yeah, you stay pretty distant, but you know, I think that I'm gonna bet that this week, I'm gonna bet that this week there comes some sort of a lockdown, edict, where we are not allowed to go out for non-essential. And it'll be interesting to see if work is deemed a non-essential thing.
Is that what happened in China? Like, what was the lockdown in China? What did that entail?
China locked down the province that was hot. I think it was that Wuhan area. I forget the name of the province. They locked down that province. They didn't lock down the whole country. They locked down the province. South Korea, I believe, locked down the country.
Well,
Italy is in a full lockdown. Spain is in lockdown. The prime minister or president's wife has it in Spain. Same as in Canada.
Yeah.
Right. And then France, I think, is on some sort of a partial lockdown where no restaurants, bars, movie theaters, kind of the recreational spots are closed.
Yeah, right now. So you saw on the news today in Michigan here, all the restaurants closed at 3:00 for dine in.
Right.
So, yeah. So I mean, you can still do carry out, but
Yeah, and so in a situation where we go into, because you know, I had an owner of a company call me today and said, Ben, what do you think about this? You know, is this ridiculous, or is there something to this? Like, what do I need to be doing? You know, and it was really, I was flattered that he would call me about this. But you know what I said to him was, I said, you know, if your people are wanting to work from home right now, you need to figure out a way to try to let them do that.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a much more engaged and supportive workforce, and B, you're going to get ahead of it. So your people are going to be working from home a day or two before you're being forced to shut it down, right? And so you're going to be established, you're going to be open for business. See, a lot of people think they're open for business when their people are in the office. But in reality, if you have a good continuity plan and your people are working from home and they're responsive and engaged, you have the best open for business plan when you go into a 14-day lockdown, you know? And then when your RMCs and your clients out there who are initiating moves are also working from home right now, you know, and they have a continuity of operations, and they're not getting out of office replies, but they're actually getting responses and initiations, you know, then you become the go-to player, right? And so it's like in every challenge and in every difficult time, there's an opportunity to distinguish yourself and gain business, you know? So I encourage people, you know, don't panic, be smart, but also say, hey, what is the opportunity? Well, what are my customers looking for right now? Challenge yourself to meet unreasonable requirements in this time. And if you can do that and you can excel in this time, I think you can actually, you know, pick up clients based on the way that you respond to this kind of crisis.
Yeah. In every crisis in American history, you know, the companies that were ahead of the curve or reacted properly and jumped ahead as much as they could. I mean, those are the ones that always made it out, you know?
That's right.
Yeah, so like, I mean, I like you said, I mean, any company that's even considering like, what do we do or whatever, if there's a way that you can, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we're in 2020, it's 2020. Like, so if there's ways in all type of apps and programs and things that can quickly, you know, for the most part, have a lot of your staff members working from home in full effect, you know, and this thing called the internet's the www thing, wicked strong, you know, and there's so many ways that you can make this happen. And it's all about continuity plans, like you said, and you kind of segue perfectly. Joe Fix said that this will change or could shape the continuity of business plans forever, you know?
Yeah, you know, I think that's one of the things that people are concerned about. You know, there's the short term, medium term, long term, right? Short term is I can't move anybody right now for, a couple months, right? Medium term is, well, what if this plunges us into a recession? Long term is, what happens if we stand up the infrastructure necessary for our kids to go to school remotely, for us to work remotely, and for us to be so freaked out about shaking hands with one another that, you know, we just don't need to relocate because we don't really do things in person anymore. And
then you just put me out of, thank you so much, Ben, for that.
That's what we get terrified, right?
Like let's reel that back in.
So then people hear that, you know, and then out of 10 people, 3 people are going to say that's never going to happen. 5 people are going to say, oh my God, you know, and freak out. And then 2 people are going to be like, what that opportunity look like for me?
What can I do in that? Yeah.
How do I solve that? You know? Mark Gray over here, the moving recruiter, hiring freezes impacting the recruiting biz. Mark, what are you seeing as far as impact? I'd like to know. You're seeing like just they're pulling back requirements? Are they freezing it because they're not sure what the economy is going to do? You know, explain to me more a little bit about that. We got Mr. Funkhauser.
All right, so Mr. Funkhauser says, "Hey, Mr. Bailey, nice suit. I saw a LinkedIn post of you wearing workout shorts with a suit jacket. Is this a new trend? Absolutely. Is it COVID-19 compliant? If nobody's around, heck yes. You can do whatever you want, you know, with shorts on.
You do whatever you want when nobody's around.
When nobody's around, as long as you're professional, top half up, we're all good to go. And Ben and I cannot shake hands or anything like that. So thank you for that question, Art, and thank you for paying attention. to the details.
We got another guy here, Mike Flanagan. Glad they can work from home, but what about the guys that do the work? So we are all going broke and lose everything. Yeah. I mean, if people decide that they don't want to move because, you know, they're afraid of this, or companies decide that they're going to put a travel restriction on, or the military decides they're going to do a moving stoppage. You know, I'm assuming Mike has something to do. I'm assuming Mike's like a mover. Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, we're all, I mean,
I think you're going to see unemployment rates go up. You know, I remember when I was in Florida, unemployment rates were over 10% for a while. You know, I think you're going to see, and now you think about how many people are gig workers, you know.
That's done.
Uber drivers, Uber Eats, you know, even a lot of these movers, a lot of these helpers are gig workers of a variety. Some of these DSP consultants are gig workers. You know, what happens when these folks don't have work for 2 months? You know?
I mean, then what about the owner operators too? I mean, you just think there's certain positions where, you know, like if you're in a certain company where it may not affect you right away, but I mean, like you said, like the short term, middle term, long term, all companies may not be affected right away, you know. But like you said, if companies don't react the right way, or try to get ahead, or change something that they can do, or look into the future and figure out how they can, you know, restructure. Middle term, all companies, whether you ship cars, household goods, RMCs, whatever it is, it's gonna, you know, it's gonna be a drastic effect. You know, I mean, people, if major corporations are not sending people on planes, period, they're definitely not gonna be moving people. You know.
John Westbrook, who I imagine is an owner-operator also based on the profile pic here. When the season breaks, are we going to raise our rates with demand? So, John, we can't talk about rates specifically.
I was going to close my ears if you started talking. I don't want to hear.
But, I mean, COD rates do fluctuate with demand. So, to answer your question, yes, those would go up. Yeah. Corporate rates are fixed, although there is a seasonal rate adjustment in most contracts. But it would not go up precipitously like demand would. And then, you know, military is the same way, where those rates are filed peak and off peak. So to answer your question, in the COD market, yes, probably. Yeah, good question. Eric Scorzelli, good point. Tom, today is the day to have a plan in place for the next 120 days.
And I won't be wearing pants in 119 of those days.
That's how you save money? Is that your retirement plan? Just don't buy pants?
Shorts all day, B.
Don't buy pants, buy stocks low. All right, Mark Gray. Many clients just told me to hold up on our searches for sales reps as they're unsure as to how much the virus is going to slow their business. They're wary to invest in staffing when they themselves don't know if the economy will soon shut down. Yeah, you know, that's a real thing. You know, I go back to, I think it was Warren Buffett, right, who talks about zigging when other people zag, right? And it's like when the economy hits the toilet, you know, there's going to be some people that have courage and they go in and they have a little nest egg and they have some money they can invest and they buy in, you know, low, and they take advantage. And then there's going to be some people that just kind of stash their cash and just try to weather the storm. But Mark, you know, I mean, that's true for moving companies, but I imagine that's true for a lot of companies in general. Jen Breen on LinkedIn, absolutely a time to set yourself apart, think positive and look ahead. You know, I think that's a great point. You know, I know it's a lot of doom and gloom, and I know we can get into this rabbit hole of spiraling, right, around what's happening, the sky's falling and everything. But I mean, you know, this will pass. Now, what the country looks like afterwards and what it looks like 6 months, a year, 2 years, don't know. But this will pass. Thomas, I mean, what do you think about the idea of differentiation and coming out on the other side of a crisis like this?
I mean, like I said, I mean, did you just antibacterial me when I said
it's been a very intimate conversation.
See, that was rude. I've never felt so offended in my life. No, I just feel like if on our side of the business, like you said, there's those moments where you're just straight up doom and gloom, and you're so worried about the newest news, and you're just reacting and all that. I mean, there has to be some point where you take a step back and say, okay, well, here, what's our core business? What do we do? I mean, like, really, what can we do to change this whole thing, and how can we set ourselves up, and just maybe in the next 6 months, like if you look 6 months out, I mean, because if like when we were talking about the DoD thing, if you weren't thinking about it the right way and you just got that email and you're like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do for the next month, right? And that's all you thought about was something really short term. Then you wouldn't be ready for the fact that all of a sudden in May and June you're gonna be absolutely like drowned with shipments, So like you have to take that moment where you just take a step back and like you said, this will pass. But then the point is that it will pass, and you have to be ready for when it does. I mean, because a lot of times you're just looking at it like, oh, hopefully this will be over soon. But what happens when it's over? Like, try your best to be ready for that moment. And I know you guys will be a university in North American, but you just have to be ready.
We got some interesting points over here. Joe Fick says, on the realtor side, on a positive note, I saw more open house visitors and international buyers last weekend than in a long time. There are reasons for that. Joe, what do you think those reasons are?
Yeah, I know that.
Sounds like there's some speculators out there. Got some stuff going on here on LinkedIn. Yaron from Flat Rate. Yaron says, we have a military packet picked tomorrow in Southern California that we got an email authorization to do tomorrow for intrastate within the state here. And by the way, it's Gotti Business's birthday today. Happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, dude.
Yeah, right. I've been checking in a lot lately. Janet Turner says, early in my career days, I spent a lot of time visioning myself handing out my business cards and greeting people before it finally happened. It is so strange not to shake hands when greeting or hug. Is the elbow bump here to stay?
I mean, I'm just gonna say I might have if I ran into Janet, I might hug her. I'm sorry. I might hug her.
You might kill her. What are you trying to do, man?
I mean, I just haven't seen her in so long. I mean, I'm with her, man. I'm just so accustomed to. I mean, you just hugged somebody last week. Shut up.
So selfish, man.
You just hugged like 10 people last week. And then you quarantined yourself after that. Those poor people.
I know. You're right. Steve Miser, we're all just going to mutter through, kind of like government shutdown. Alfonso Llewellyn, I think that's a Cowboys jersey. What up, Alfonso? What about small moving business owners? How do you feel it would affect them? Yeah, it's going to be tough. What are their finances like? What kind of a nut do they have on their equipment and their overhead? I mean, what's their monthly like? Because they may see a downtick. The cool thing about small business owners is that they can be more nimble. Yeah. Sometimes they're too afraid to be so aggressive, but they can be more nimble, and they can start putting signs out there like, $99 movers or whatever they got to do, right? To hustle up some business, keep their guys busy just until it's time to take advantage of an uptick. I think that I talked to a banker today, actually, who writes small business loans, and he told me that the SBA is actually working with banks right now to give people a 30, 60, 90-day respite on paying their loans. Mm-hmm. So for these small moving companies that might have SBA loans, for instance, or loans through another bank, I would encourage you now to reach out to them and talk about some sort of payment plans if you need it. If not, I wouldn't take necessarily a forbearance unless you need it, because you put yourself in a bad situation down the road. Who knows how long this downturn might be in place. So, but if you need it, reach out to your bank. I'd say be first in line for those things. I mean, it's something we learned back in 08. You want to be first to the trough when people are giving breaks out there. They'll be last. So
click on the next one. Vinny. Hey guys.
Vinny will put a smile on your face. It don't matter if it's a pandemic or what.
Dude, he just came back from the islands of Hawaii, so he's probably loving it.
He's been self-quarantined with like a tequila collection that would kill a horse
on the beach. Oh, right. Yeah, I saw that.
You know
Like,
what I
yeah,
mean?
no food here.
Yeah, Vinny, hop in here, man. Vinny,
Yeah, where you at, Vinny?
Yeah. You got the webcam? Yo, check the link. If you want to talk real quick, if you want to chime in, we got time maybe for one more guest. We're taking it long here, but we've had a lot of interest here. My friend Brad
It's
Hamlin.
Corona time on the East Coast.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's Corona time on the East Coast.
I hope you're not driving that truck, John. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. Brad Hamlin from Relocation America International writes, I think companies need to prepare for a complete shutdown of operation and movement of employees to home offices.
I mean, I think that's where it's going to go for most companies. Within a few days, I'm sure.
Martin says, good point, Thomas Bailey. What companies do today is important, but what we're planning for 60 to 90 days is just as important.
Right. Well, I said 6 months, but hey.
Well, it's just as important.
It's always important.
Everything's important.
Everything is important. I mean, because you got to find the silver lining, right, Ben? You just have to.
Got some elbow bumps from Dubai.
Elbow bumps.
Thomas is trying to put the pants companies out of business.
It's going to work. Wait, who said that?
Virtual elbow bump for Ben and Thomas. Thank you for being industry leaders. ArcBest is operating at full capacity if anyone needs this. I love how people wrap plugs inside of compliments.
Yo, you guys look awesome, man. Hit us up if you need anything. Move. Right. Hey, but I mean, it works though. You know, like sometimes
I read it.
Yeah, you did.
I read it.
You did, and you did a great job reading it, by the way.
Let's see here. Let's see if we have any other comments here. We got a bunch of people that.
I was hoping Vinny would jump in.
Roy Ramirez, this is a question I actually meant to ask before. How do you tell people we aren't going to move you if they do not have the virus? If someone is moving and the other person has to move out, you can't just stop the complete cycle. It will cause chaos.
You said if someone's, what was it? If someone's moving out?
Yeah. How do you tell people we aren't going to move you if they don't have the virus? If someone is moving in and the other person has to move out, you can't just stop.
Yeah, well,
cycle. It will cause chaos.
Sean said something earlier about like that some of the families will probably be in hotels for maybe 2 months or something. That's what he said, and I was like, I forgot to say something, but I mean that's the truth probably. But then at the same time, you're asking military families or just families in general to now go sit in a hotel room for 2 months with the coronavirus like all around them essentially. You know, they're not even. It's not a quarantine. You just went to a public place. Like that's worse. Don't send me to a hotel room. Like can't you? I don't know. It seems crazy. Just gotta call. Oh, Vinny.
Yeah,
okay.
trying to get Vinny to pop up here with his little smiling face. Vinny.
Yeah, I mean that sucks though.
Click that StreamYard link, or if you're watching and your name's not Vinny, click this link. I want one more person to come in the booth here.
Yeah, just click it. Just click it. No, yeah, there's going to be families that are in tough situations, whether they're moving or not moving. Jobs and unemployment and having to move, even though you don't have anywhere to move to or something. You can't, university won't pick up your stuff. No, university is picking up your stuff. That's the thing. We talk about people not moving, or no movers have said they're not moving. Like
every mover trying to move.
I mean, there's no movers have said no yet.
This has been a kind of a slow Q1 for the moving industry.
They moving.
Yeah, and like then this happens. It's like, no, we need these moves,
I'll send them with a mask and gloves in a full outbreak outfit. The quarantine suit.
You're funny. Oh, Brad Hamlin. See, I should have read this earlier. The guidance we received from University Moving regarding their changes to operating procedures was very helpful and allows us to share with our clients. I'm concerned, however, that you, Ben, are not working from home and appear to be broadcasting from the UMS offices.
Yeah, like what's up? What's that?
This is actually a green screen. This is a green screen right here behind me.
Oh, that's slick, bro.
Yeah, I too am not wearing pants. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
we welcome to the broadcast here. One of my
we got some
favorite people come to us live from the left coast. Vinny, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
What's up, Vinny?
Good to see you.
Man.
Another day in mobility, you know?
Oh, man.
So, Benny, are you like self-quarantining right now? What's your deal, man?
Absolutely. We are we are following the recommendations, so we have closed or our employees are working remote. Nike has closed a lot of stores because of this. Yeah, so we're social distancing like everybody else. We're doing it.
I mean, so have you guys just stopped? I mean, have you stopped relocation at all? I mean, is business as usual? You're just working from home?
To a certain extent, we are monitoring every single case, and taking the right approach. And yeah, it's been interesting.
Are you seeing any kind of drop off in assignments right now or transferees?
No, I mean, the one thing that we need to kind of take into consideration is, where the employees are coming from, where they're going to, can they even travel? Is the U.S. consulate even open for them to go for visa renewals to get their visas and work permits? So it's case by case, and all hands on deck.
So as of right now, you haven't slowed down your transferees and your assignees. Are you delaying any moves based on this?
Well, in short, yes, if it's needed. The one thing is, there may come a time that there may not be a country to send employees to or evacuate them to, right? Or should we evacuate every single employee given the situation? We don't know. We've evacuated some, but as this is a fluid situation, we don't know what country's next, or what the approach should be for those countries.
Are you like in the terms of an evacuation, what are some of the factors that might play into that? Is it travel restrictions, or is it a transferee's decision? I mean, how do you even come to say, hey, we need to get this person out of there?
I think it's all of the above. How are the government dictating? Are they? Is the U.S. Department of State elevating it to level 3, level 4, or whatever it may be? It's and of course the senior leaders are. I mean, they're very involved on everything. So it's it can change every second.
I mean, I'm assuming you have employees probably in some of the countries that have been locked down, though, right? I mean.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's I mean, that's what we do. We just have to take everything into consideration, use very reputable sources, and keep our employees safe and ourselves safe.
So when you say reputable sources, like this is not what you're
not this.
No.
Not
like the gross up relocation doesn't gonna work for you right
now. Do you see transferees who are more hesitant to take an assignment, or have you heard about this? Maybe from your talent organization or something, where they're just like, gosh, maybe the requisition's out there, but personally, for me and my family, we want to stay put.
Well, I think it's very different. I think when an employee is with Nike already and they're moving to another job at a different location, right? Where, they have a job, right? So they're going to get paid. I think the biggest thing, and I think it will come eventually, is what about employees that have given notices to move their current jobs to join a new company, right? It doesn't have to be Nike, and they, if they delay the start due to a personal decision, or the company delays that start, they will not have a job, right? So then what? Then what do we do? And I think as more countries have been putting like the travel bans and the restrictions on that, and governments have kind of, shutting consulates and embassies around, I think it will get tougher and tougher for companies to make those decisions.
We got a comment here from Joanna Alpert. Hey, Ben and Thomas, hope you guys are hanging in there. She makes a point, instead of hotels, because we did have some people saying, well, what happens when my house closes? And actually, I want to hear your take on this too, Vinny. But she said, instead of hotels, tap into your corporate housing providers who need the business, especially for people that have long-term. And since this is kind of a long-term potential issue. Vinny, have you had issues with people who, because we were talking to the president of the American Moving and Storage Association, we were talking about the recent declaration that the military would cease moving people until May 11th, and the potential clogging that could happen between people who are trying to sell their home and move out and people that are trying to move in. Have you had any types of home sale issues or transactional issues, related to the virus?
Not a whole lot. I think the biggest thing that I have seen is, an employee that is currently searching for a home, right, to purchase or to rent, but because of the COVID-19, she doesn't feel comfortable driving around house to house searching and going into a place that she does not know if it's been cleaned recently, right? So I think there will be additional, exception requests to extend corporate housing, and kind of delaying the home sale, home purchase portion of their reload.
Have you heard of any suppliers who have been doing a particularly nice job, communicating through this process, planning through this process? Any particularly interesting and novel approaches that you've seen out there that maybe we can learn from?
Well, I mean, our partnership with, and I'll say the name, Sweet America has been great. We did bring some expats back from China back to their home location when the situation first exploded, and they've been amazing in helping and getting corporate property for them, and not just in the U.S. but globally. So they've been great, and Michael James has been awesome. And I know he'll be watching this later on.
Well, Vinny, thank you so much for taking time out of your day.
No worries, man.
You're the guy that turns the wheel and makes everybody move over there. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. And I had to say I am still supporting
Hey,
it.
good old move for hunger.
Nice. Way to represent.
Right, thanks so much, Vinny.
All right.
Yeah, take care, guys. Take care.
Be safe. Bye.
It's cool. It's cool to hear from the corporate side. That was nice.
Yeah, it is. It is nice. And Vinny's a great guy to have on here. I guess here we are at an hour and a half.
Oh,
some of our videos are too long.
Well, I mean, it's your fault because you got all the questions.
I find it interesting,
No. I mean, I think this was a great conversation. I mean, we're all talking about it anyway, so why not get together and talk about it openly and kind of voice our concerns and things. So I think it was a great idea.
You know, and I love the fact that we had on, you know, everybody from, you know, the head of an association, you know, of AMSO, John Becker, to having Tim Quirk on, you know, from
international, yeah,
to having Vinny on. I feel like we had the full cycle, you know.
Well, yeah, the car carrier, a mover, international, and a corporate.
Yeah, exactly. So,
you got it covered, brother.
You know, we'll be doing some similar stuff tomorrow, getting some different input. Hope to have Tim Hellenthal, who is National Van Lines, on tomorrow. Having Oded Carmi, maybe some other folks pop in as well. Love to get more people with a corporate point of view to hear how people's programs are being impacted. But Thomas, any closing thoughts on coronavirus?
No, I would just say, like, I mean, take it seriously. I mean, like you said earlier, don't panic, but take it seriously. Make sure you take precautions to keep your employees and your family safe and healthy. Do what's right. You know, don't just say, you know, one of the things that one of the things I keep hearing people that are, you know, young and healthy or whatever is, oh, I'll be fine. It's not that. I mean, we know that, you know, you're not going to die probably, you know, but you could, in passing, you know, take it to your, you know, grandmother or whoever, or people that aren't going to make it through that. Right. So let's not be selfish here. Let's take our necessary precautions to not get it, period, and not pass it to anyone else. And then just keep on trucking, though. It'll always work out, and this too shall pass. Just be ready for it when it does.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, thanks for joining, Thomas. This is great, man.
Yeah, I like you.
It's cool.
I like you a lot, Ben.
I like you too.
Was that a good way to? I like you.
Yeah.